Hi everyone, it's me, Tim. Today I'm going to answer another question from Tommy Salami 6694, who asks, "Hey Tim, I was wondering if speedrunning has any effect on the games you've made, specifically the scope of bug fixes post-launch and internal developer views on speedrunning." I think speedrunning is an interesting topic to talk about. I know there was a video made of Leonard and I watching speedrunning in Outer Worlds, and I'll talk about that. But I'll just start by saying I love speedrunning. I think it's a really clever way of playing the game. So do most of my colleagues. So as far as I can tell, most people I know like speedrunning. And we kind of see it as an ingenious way of playing the game. I will say it's probably not a good way to enjoy the game. When you speedrun, you just run past encounters, you ignore quests and story. It's not really enjoying the game. It's an enjoyable way to challenge yourself in the game. It's kind of like when you're trying to get achievements. Sometimes the thing you have to do may not be enjoyable. It's like, oh, I got to kill all these things, or I've got to, what was that one in WoW where you had to find the highest thing you could jump off of and still not die. And by the way, I'm not saying that's a good achievement. I'm just remembering that. So what I realized though is that every speedrunner I was watching had played the game tons of times in order to be able to get to the stage where they could speedrun through the game. So I think the first time I experienced speedrunning with any of the games I've made was with Fallout. When we shipped Fallout, we estimated it was going to take people 40 to 60 hours to play through the game because there was a lot of things to explore and there was a lot of storyline. However, some people in QA had gotten through the main storyline in a little under 8 hours, which was really cool because that meant we could give them a new build every day and they could play through the whole main story arc again. When we shipped the game, soon after, someone was talking about a speed run, and I'm not even sure there were videos up of it. They just described what they did. Somebody did it in 2 hours, which I was really impressed with. 2 hours that's a quarter of the time it took the QA people to get through it. But then somebody did it in something like 15 minutes, and we were all like, what? And then somebody did it in 8 minutes. And I was like, okay, now I had to look at what they did. And it turns out the 15-minute run was getting the water chip and then killing both the mutants and the master by blowing up those bases. The 8-minute one, he never even went and got the water chip. Turns out we never checked to see if you had the water chip. We just assumed you got it and figured, okay, good for you. Hey, now go to the military base. He just skipped that part. He just went straight to the military base, killed them, then went over to the cathedral, went down the basement, set the bomb, and blew up the master. And I'm like, this is clever and this is smart. So much of the game you miss out on, though. It's like, I felt bad for all the fun that they missed out on, but I realized the speedrun itself was the fun. So, in Outer Worlds, there's even the video, I checked, it was still up. IGN did a video of Leonard and I watching a speedrun. We were both equally amazed at the clever ways that person employed to do it really quickly. Plus, it was just fun to watch it with Leonard. I mean, if you know he and I get along really well. We had fun watching this guy short-circuit quests, figure out ways of getting in places, clever things he did to like jump out of an instance and then right back into it just to clear the flag that combat was running so he could then use some piece of equipment. It was just clever, and I think he did it in like, what was it? Was it 12 minutes? It was pretty crazy. I know people think that, well, that must aggravate you as a designer because somebody's skipping all your stuff. It would be weird. It'd be like making a really fancy meal and then having someone say, I want to see how fast I can eat this. Okay, I get what you're doing, but there's this really nice meal here. It's spent a lot of time on it. So Besides that, as a designer, you often block content in the game for a couple reasons. You may want to keep low-level people, low-level players from stumbling into just crazy overpowered zones where they're going to be killed immediately. Or you want a storyline to unfold. And yes, even non-linear storylines need certain pacing. So that's why you tend to set things out like, okay, you need a key to get in here, and until this person tells you about this quest, this place isn't open. We tend to do that, but I will admit on my games we don't do it as often because we do have that go anywhere you want, do whatever you want mentality. So I, for one, have never added a feature just to mess with speedrunning. I don't think that that's something that should be on me. If people want to figure out how to bypass content, knock yourself out. But similarly, we usually don't fix bugs based on speedrunning because the speedrunning's fine. I'm not gonna, take out some barrels because they let you jump over a fence. I'm not going to make a door unlockable until you've, or non-unlockable, until you've talked to a quest giver. But if a speedrun shows that the game can get into a bad game state where there's a chance the main storyline can't be finished, you can bet I'm going to fix that bug. That's one of the things I talked about is no matter what kind of character you make and no matter how you play and in what order, the main story arc has to be completable. So if I see a speedrun reveal something that may, even though of course it doesn't have the speedrunner because they're trying to finish the game, but if they reveal something that they're doing that could lead to a bad game state, yeah, I'll go in and fix that. I've also seen some comments, even on my channel, saying we should hire speedrunners for testing. Maybe. There's a lot more to testing than just seeing how fast you can get through the game. I don't, and also that's something I don't necessarily want to prevent. So it's not a. What I love getting out of QA is I made this character and this area was way too hard or couldn't be done, or if you do these quests out of order it caused a bug, or if I do this and then this it crashes. Those are just, you don't want the game to do that. Speedrunning I don't want to prevent, so hiring a speedrunner for QA, I can think of a dozen other attributes I'd rather have in a QA person than can speedrun. I'm not saying I wouldn't hire someone if they were a speedrunner. I'm just saying I don't look for that. So kind of to sum up, let me just say I love speedrunning. I think it's incredibly creative. One thing that it does for me personally, it kind of reminds me of my early high school D&D players. And I know I've talked about this in other videos, but those people never ever did anything I expected. And that was part of the fun. I realized that was part of the charm of the game and giving players that much agency to choose to do wildly different things. And as the GM, having to figure out how to handle that was part of the fun of D&D for me in high school. And the fact that I moved that into my games meant that I not only expect, but I want players to have this kind of agency. And speedrunning is just an exercise of that form of player agency where you're like, I don't want to do this. I want to do this. I don't want to go here. I want to go here. And the fact that the game opens up and allows it and lets you finish early, I don't necessarily want to stop that. I like it. Like I said, I don't think it's the best way to experience the game. I don't think it's the most enjoyable way to experience the game. But if you want to do that, knock yourself out. I'm never going to go back. I'm never going to watch a speed run and then go back and patch the game to prevent a speed run. I think patches post release should be basically to fix crashes, really egregious bugs, and maybe some more balance issues, but certainly not to make the game less playable in certain ways. So that's my thoughts on speedrunning. I like it. Speedrunners, knock yourselves out in my games.